Titian, Veronese, Rembrandt, Poussin or Van Dyck. It closed in 1780 as a result of the royal gift of Luxembourg Palace to the Count of Provence, the future king, Louis XVIII, by the king in 1778.31. Under Louis XVI, the idea of a royal museum in the Louvre came closer to fruition. 32. The Comte d'Angeville broadened the collection and in 1776 proposed to convert the Grande Gallery of the Louvre, which at that time contained the plans, reliefs or 3D models of key fortified sites in and around France, into the French Museum. Many design proposals were offered for the Louvre's renovation into a museum without a final decision being made on them. Hence the museum remained incomplete until the French Revolution. 31. Revolutionary opening. The Louvre finally became a public museum during the French Revolution. In May 1791, the National Constituent Assembly declared that the Louvre would be a place for bringing together monuments of all sciences and arts. 31. On the 10th of August, 1792, Louis XVI was imprisoned and the royal collection in the Louvre became national property. Because of fear of vandalism or theft, on the 19th of August, the National Assembly pronounced the museum's preparation urgent. In October, a committee to preserve the national memory began assembling the collection for display. 33. Antonio Canova's Psyche Reviver by Cupid's Kiss was commissioned in 1787 and donated in 1824. 34. The museum opened on the 10th of August, 1793, the first anniversary of monarchy's demise, as Muséum Central des Arts de l'Art Public. The public was given free accessibility on 3 days per week, which was perceived as a major accomplishment and was generally appreciated. 35. The collection showcased 537 paintings and 184 objects of art. 3/4 were derived from the royal collections, the remainder from confiscated émigrés and church property, biens nationaux. 36. 20. 68 to 69. To expand and organize the collection, the Republic dedicated 100,000 livres per year. 31. In 1794, France's revolutionary armies began bringing pieces from Northern Europe, augmented after the Treaty of Tolentino, 1797, by works from the Vatican, such as the Laocoon and Apollo Belvedere, to establish the Louvre as a museum and as a sign of popular sovereignty. 36. 37. The early days were hectic. Privileged artists continued to live in residence, and the unlabeled paintings hung frame to frame from floor to ceiling. 36. The structure itself closed in May 1796 due to structural deficiencies. It reopened on 14 July 1801, arranged chronologically and with new lighting and columns. 36. On the 15th of August, 1797, the Galerie d'Apollon was opened with an exhibition of drawings. Meanwhile, the Louvre's Gallery of Antiquity Sculpture, Musée des Antiques, with artifacts brought from Florence and the Vatican, had opened in November 1800 in Anne of Austria's former summer apartment, located on the ground floor just below the Galerie d'Apollon. Napoleonic era. On the 19th of November 1802, Napoleon appointed Dominique Vivant Dinan, a scholar and polymath who had participated in the Egyptian campaign of 1798-1801, as the museum's first director, in preference to alternative contenders such as antiquarian Ennio Quirino Visconti, painter Jacques Louis David, sculptor Antonio Canova and architects Léon Dufany or Pierre Fontaine. 38. On Dinan's suggestion in July 1803 the museum itself was renamed Musée Napoleon. 39. 79. The collection grew through successful military campaigns. 20. 52 acquisitions were made of Spanish, Austrian, Dutch, and Italian works, either as the result of war looting or formalized by treaties such as the Treaty of Tolentino. 40. At the end of Napoleon's first Italian campaign in 1797, the Treaty of Campo Formio was signed with Count Philip von Coblenz of the Austrian monarchy. This treaty marked the completion of Napoleon's conquest of Italy and the end of the first phase of the French Revolutionary Wars. It compelled Italian cities to contribute pieces of art and heritage to Napoleon's parades of spoils through Paris before being put into the Louvre Museum. 41. The horses of Saint Mark, which had adorned the Basilica of San Marco in Venice after the sack of Constantinople in 1204, were brought to Paris where they were replaced atop Napoleon's Arc de Triomphe du Carrousel. In 1797. 41. Under the Treaty of Tolentino, the two statues of the Nile and Tiber were taken to Paris from the Vatican in 1797, and were both kept in the Louvre until 1815. The Nile was later returned to Rome. 42, whereas the Tiber has remained in the Louvre to this day. The despoilment of Italian churches and palaces outraged the Italians and their artistic and cultural sensibilities. 43, after the French defeat at Waterloo, the looted works' former owners sought their return. The Louvre's administrator, Dinan, was loath to comply in absence of a treaty of restitution. In response, foreign states sent emissaries to London to seek help, and many pieces were returned, though far from all. 40, 20, 69, 44. In 1815 Louis XVIII finally concluded agreements with the Austrian government. 45, 46. For the keeping of works such as Veronese wedding at Cana, which was exchanged for a large Lebrun, or the repurchase of Albani collection. From 1815 to 1852. The Venus de Milo was added to the Louvre's collection during the reign of Louis XVIII. For most of the 19th century, from Napoleon's time to the Second Empire, the Louvre and other national museums were managed under the monarch civil list and thus depended much on the ruler's personal involvement. Whereas the most iconic collection remained that of paintings in the Grande Gallery, a number of other initiatives mushroomed in the vast building named as if they were separate museums, even though they were generally managed under the same administrative umbrella. Correspondingly, the museum complex was often referred to in the plural, les musées du Louvre, rather than singular. During the Bourbon Restoration, 1814-1830, Louis XVIII and Charles added to the collections. The Greek and Roman sculpture gallery on the ground floor of the southwestern side of the Cour Carrée was completed on designs by Percier and Fontaine. In 1819 an exhibition of manufactured products was opened in the first floor of the Cour Carrée's southern wing and would stay there until the mid-1820s. 39, 87 Charles X in 1826 created a Musée Egyptian and in 1827 included it in his broader Musée Charles X, a new section of the museum complex located in a suite of lavish light-curated rooms on the first floor of the south wing of the Cour Carrée. The Egyptian collection, initially curated by Jean-François Champollion, formed the basis for what is now the Louvre's Department of Egyptian Antiquities. It was formed from the purchased collections of Edme-Antoine Durand, Henry Salt and the second collection of Bernardino Drovetti, the first one having been purchased by Victor Emmanuel I of Sardinia to form the core of the present Museo Egizio in Turin. The Restoration period also saw the opening in 1824 of the Gallery d'Angulum, a section of largely French sculptures on the ground floor of the northwestern side of the Cour Carrée, many of whose artifacts came from the Palace of Versailles and from Alexandre Lannoy's Musée des Monuments Français following its closure in 1816. Meanwhile, the French Navy created an exhibition of ship models in the Louvre in December 1827, initially named Musée Dauphin in honor of Dauphin Louis Antoine. 47, building on an 18th century initiative of Henri Louis Dumel du Monceau. This collection, renamed Musée Naval in 1833 and later to develop into the Musée National de la Marine, was initially located on the first floor of the Corkery's north wing, and in 1838 moved up one level to the second floor attic, where it remained for more than a century. 48 Rooms of the Musée Charles X. First room. First room. Room 27. Room 27. Room 29. Room 29. Salle des Collins. Salle des Collins. Room 35. Room 35. Room 36. Room 36. Room 38. Room 38. Ceiling decorations designed by Félix Dubin in the Salon Carré, left, and Salle des Septembre Kemenis, right, late 1840s. Following the July Revolution, King Louis-Philippe focused his interest on the repurposing of the Palace of Versailles into a museum of French history conceived as a project of national reconciliation, and the Louvre was kept in comparative neglect. Louis-Philippe did, however, sponsor the creation of the Musée Sir-En to host the monumental Assyrian sculpture works brought to Paris by Paul-Émile Botta, in the ground floor gallery north of the eastern entrance of the Cour Carrée. The Assyrian Museum opened on 1 May 1847. 49. Separately, Louis-Philippe had his Spanish gallery displayed in the Louvre from 7 January 1838, in 5 rooms on the first floor of the Cour Carré's east colonnade, wing 50, but the collection remained his personal property. As a consequence, the works were removed after Louis-Philippe was deposed in 1848, and were eventually auctioned away in 1853. The short-lived Second Republic had more ambitions for the Louvre. It initiated repair work, the completion of the Galerie d'Apollon and of the Salle des Septembre Kemenis, and the overhaul of the Salon Carré, former site of the iconic yearly Salon, and of the Grande Galerie. 20. 52 in 1848, the Naval Museum. The display in the Salon Carré, painted by Giuseppe Castiglione in 1861 following its repurposing of the late 1840s Veronese wedding Arcana, is visible on the left, and his supper in the House of Simon, now at the Palace of Versailles, is on the right. In the Cour Carré's attic was brought under the Common Louvre Museum management. 48. A change was again reversed in 1920. In 1850, under the leadership of curator Adrien de Longperia, the Musée Mexicain opened within the Louvre as the first European museum dedicated to pre-Columbian art. Second Empire. The rule of Napoleon III was transformational for the Louvre, both the building and the museum. In 1852, he created the Musée des Souverains in the colonnade wing, an ideological project aimed at buttressing his personal legitimacy. In 1861, he bought 11,835 artworks including 641 paintings, Greek gold and other antiquities of the Campana collection. For its display, he created another new section within the Louvre named Musée Napoleon III, occupying a number of rooms in various parts of the building. Between 1852 and 1870, the museum added 20,000 new artifacts to its collections. 51. The main change of that period was to the building itself. In the 1850s, architects Louis Visconti and Hector Lefleur created massive new spaces around what is now called the Cour Napoleon, some of which, in the south wing, now Aldenon, went to the museum. 20. 52 to 54. In the 1860s, Lefleur also led the creation of Pavillon des Sessions with a new Salle des Etats closer to Napoleon III's residence in the Tuileries Palace, with the effect of shortening the Grande Gallery by about a third of its previous length. A smaller but significant Second Empire project was the decoration of the Salle des Empereurs below the Salon Carré. Entrance to a section of the Musée Napoleon III from the Salle des Chances, then a double-height space. Entrance to a section of Musée Napoleon II from the Salle des Sciences, then a double-height space. Galerie des Rues, part of the new Louvre building program under Napoleon III. Galerie des Rues, part of new Louvre building program under Napoleon III. Salle des Rues above the Galerie des Rues, also created under Napoleon III. Salle des Rues above the Galerie des Rues, also created under Napoleon III. Escalier Mollien in the new Louvre. Escalier Mollien in